Man of the year, man of the year, man of the year. Welcome to the number one friendship podcast in the country. I'm Matt Ritter.
I'm Aaron Cairo.
Guys, go check out our new merch. We've got onesies, little babies, and it says we should be friends. And who doesn't need friends as a baby, right? You want to get them out of the gate, making a lot of friends. So check that out, manoftheyearpodcast.com. Check out our YouTube page. You know, Cairo, I sent you an interesting article recently with a term that I really liked. They called it your social nutrition. It was about how you need a balanced diet of different types of social interactions. And I feel that we both kind of agreed that this was a cool way to kind of look at your friend circle or your friend universe.
Yeah, and immediately I thought of the old school food pyramid that we learned and we were in like probably middle school
Yep.
and how similar it was. And I said, Matt, maybe we should call our rubric the dude pyramid,
The dude pyramid.
which kind of sounds now that I'm saying it out loud like it's like a kind of like a sexual
It sounds,
uh
yeah, it sounds like some sort of bizarro orgy.
or like a gay
Fraternity.
bar
It sounds like a fraternity initiation.
or a gay bar. Actually, that's a great name for a gay bar.
The dude
Uh,
pyramid.
but let's talk about what the dude pyramid entails and how it can help us have healthier friendships and relationships.
Right. So I think the idea is that, you know, if you're going to look at your social circles and your friendship universe as a pyramid, obviously every pyramid survives on having a healthy foundation, right? You can't build anything without having that base, right? And that's the high quality interactions, the foundational relationships in your life that already have the intimacy, that already have the emotional bonds, that I think are kind of like, it's easy, right? Like it's like, it's easy for me to call my mom in the morning, right? There's no like awkwardness or whatever, it's just like,
Right.
that's my ritual. That's your like ritualized, built in. And how many of those do you have, right? So I think start looking at that and going, do I have a healthy enough dose of my core friends and family?
Still can't believe you talk to your mom every morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
If I miss a day, she gives me mommy grief, like Jewish mother guilt, like you've never heard.
7, even the weekends.
Yeah. Every day. I
Wow.
love it. Like thinking about the weekend, weekdays, like once you have a baby, like the baby doesn't know anything. Like people are like, oh, do you sleep? I'm like, he doesn't sleep in on the weekends. It's the same thing. It's the same routine. So I call her. It's always the same. I have a stacked habit. I call her on the baby walk.
Right. Well, no, the only reason I distinguish is that we your work, your balance isn't the same. Like on the weekends, we basically don't really talk work
Right.
because you don't have
Yes.
as much help, which is I don't care, but I'm saying there is
Right.
this delineation
Oh
between
yeah,
all.
yeah. That you know what? I stand corrected. There is definitely a difference. So yeah, I mean, I think you have to look and go, hey, what kind of engagement level do I have with my close friends and family? Like the essentials for our well-being and our satisfaction in life. Like this is essential, right? This is like not drinking water.
Do you want to just give a quick overview of the whole pyramid and then we can
Yeah. So
kind
then
of
I'd say the second level is this sort of social interactions throughout the day, and that can be the broader circle of not just close friends and family, but it can include them. But this is sort of like what you're doing throughout the day, throughout the week. So that can include your work friends, your casual friends, your acquaintances, your gym people, all your third place people. But also, what is that engagement level that you need to, again, this is about your satisfaction and your well being, right? So everybody needs different engagement levels, but like we all need a certain baseline, is what we're trying to say. In the same way that your vegetables and your fruits are in that like next layer of the food pyramid, it's like we recommend a moderate amount of social interactions every day, right? And like that could be as simple as talking to a coworker, right? Like just not having silence throughout your work day. No, I'm serious. Because I
yeah.
work from home. I could go a whole day without speaking to another human. And that's not healthy. But it can also be as small as a nod or a hello to your neighbor or somebody in line. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a hangout, but I think if you're looking at your week, if we're looking at our food pyramid for the week, you got to have some social interactions that are a little bit more substantive beyond the casually stuff that we're talking about.
And what's the top of the pyramid?
So top of the pyramid is interesting. In this article was alone time. So there's actually a benefit to that, right? I mean, there's these periods of solitude and introspection, or not just, you don't even have to reflect, or you don't have to do any thinking. Sometimes you need a recharge. So it's as simple as going, okay, this is also required for people to be content in life and to have a good sort of balanced social diet, right? Like sometimes you just need to shut off, shut down, whether that's morning alone, end of day alone, middle of the day, meditation, anything, taking a walk. I think walks are hugely underrated.
Listen, there is a certain type of person who cannot be alone, and that always, that is, I think that's potentially an issue. Like you need to be able to. I talked to my friend Christina about this. You need to be able to sit with yourself by yourself for any amount of nominal time. Otherwise,
Right. So I recommend a small dose of that, according to this article. Not too
Can we
much.
talk? Yeah. Just before we got on, we were talking about the actual food pyramid, which they got rid of in 2005, but it was like from our youth. So 1992. So we were 13 through
Let me
2000.
read.
Yeah. It's actually insane.
The bottom of the pyramid is bread, cereal, rice, and pasta. 6 to 11 servings a day.
But what does that mean?
To 11 servings a day of pasta, right? Well, I mean, if you recall, right? I mean, back in that day, it was like, okay, breakfast, some crazy sugar cereal.
I wasn't allowed to have sugar cereal.
Me neither.
Yeah.
No sugar cereal's allowed, but I did eventually sneak in some what do you call them? Lucky Charms and Cinnamon Toast Crunch in my later years.
Love those.
Yeah. I guess it meant sugar cereals for breakfast and then sandwiches only for lunch, right? Because salads were not a thing.
But how can you have, let's just call it 9? That's 3 servings per meal. What does that even mean?
I think a serving, right? Like I think is a sandwich just one serving?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not.
Maybe 2 slices of bread, right? Like what? Yeah, let's look up what is a bread serving for the pyramid.
The
1 slice. Okay, so that's why.
Oh, okay. So it's not as crazy.
So that's right. So 3 full sandwiches a day. It's only.
So why did they? Yeah.
3 full sandwiches, and then I think dinner was always some sort of pasta, pizza. So then you hit your 6 to 11. 11.
I mean, 11 slices of bread in a day.
I mean, it seems like an insane amount of food. Then it was 2 to 4 servings of fruit, 3 to 5 servings of veggies, 2 to 3 servings of milk, yogurt, and cheese, meat, poultry, fish, dry beans, eggs, and nuts, 2 to 3 servings. And then, so what is the new one? So the nutritionally improved one now is.
Well, now it's called My Plate.
Okay, and what's that one?
My Plate is it's just basically a plate with a lot of vegetables.
Right.
It's basically 4 corners: fruit, grains, protein, vegetables.
Yeah, I think I'm more protein heavy than the classical chart.
Oh yeah, this brings up something I wanted to talk to you about, Matt.
Yeah.
Something I've noticed about you.
Yeah.
So, we've talked about your manifestations where you practice extreme manifesting and you say stuff that isn't true and it's insane. I've noticed that you also have a tenuous grasp on like the dimensions of time.
Okay. Hit me with more insults.
We were texting, I don't know, maybe it was with Jeremy or something, and you're saying how clean you eat, that you make every meal and you don't have any, and you said, and that is true at this moment in your life.
Yeah.
But you said, I've always You said, I always do this. I never have any snacks in the house. I never eat any sweets, and I make all my meals and I only have salmon, which is not true.
It's been accurate for over a decade.
Even if it's over a decade, which I don't think is accurate either, that you didn't have snacks in the house and you made every meal, meal.
Yeah. We've never had a single snack in our house since I've been with my wife.
I've had snacks in your house.
No, you haven't. There's nothing to eat in our house. Only time there are any snacks is if I bought them for like you and Theo for the pod or whatever. But there's literally zero snacks in our home.
I don't know. But the way you say, I've always eaten.
You have a hard time accepting that I'm better than you guys. That's what it really comes down to.
What do you mean? How is it better?
You binge and purge all weekend long. Yeah.
Well, I do binge a little bit, but no. But the way you say it's not. By the way, that part is.
Yeah.
How you eat now is fine. The way you say this is how I live my entire life.
Well, I've never had a can of soda in my entire life. It was a conversation about soda, and our friend JMC, who gains conservatively 80 pounds every year and then loses it for some weird reason, tried to claim that he had less sugar than me in his lifetime. And I'm like, you understand that one can of soda is like a mound of sugar of which I haven't had in a year of my life.
He's saying lifetime cumulatively?
Yeah, he thinks he's had less sugar than me in his lifetime when I've never had a can of soda and I've never eaten candy in my life.
Yeah, well, that's 100% agree with you on that.
Yeah.
I had to do that. I was saying that sometimes you take what you're doing now and you extend it to your entire life.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, no, I've always made good decisions. Always, my whole life.
Oh, anyway.
I can't say any of this stuff in front of you because you've seen too much.
I know. Well, that's the thing about having a tenured friend.
Yeah, you don't want to make those sorts of claims around old friends.
Right.
You can't have an argument with an old friend around when you're arguing with a new friend.
Right.
Because the old friend's not going to back you up. He's going to betray you.
Right. There is something nice about if you really have lost touch with your childhood friends, you can reinvent yourself like talented Mr. Ripley.
Yes. Like that story that I told about the guy from Plainview who went to like Singapore only to be called out by some other Plainview guy.
Yes. I mean, in a way, it is. I mean, it must be nice for you when you go out, which you do often without me or anybody else that you know. You could say whatever you want.
Oh, to the dads of Larchmont, I was the captain of the Plainview football team.
Oh yeah, that's why when I showed up for your kid's 1-year birthday party, everyone was already leaving. I'm like, oh, did he tell me the wrong time? Because he wanted me to come in.
I didn't want anyone to know the truth. They're like, oh, were you also a varsity letterman?
So the dude pyramid. So you're building a base of these very close relationships, having more in-depth conversations, having more emotional conversations, and that I think it gives you energy for the day. It grounds you. The sort of the middle of the pyramid, which is your more, sometimes we call them fringe friends. It could be your work friends. It could be your weak ties, but that's important too. Like you don't want to talk to the same five people every day.
These are all essential. When we're saying in the dude pyramid, you need all of this.
Yeah.
This is the idea that it's a balanced diet. We're trying to invent this concept that you have in order to be a healthy person, you need to have a balanced social diet. That means a balance of your core friends and family and your casual fringe friends and some alone time where you can just shut it down and be with yourself. And if you have all those three in a day, you generally will be socially fit.
I think that work friends might be the vegetables.
Okay. Talk more about that.
Because you're forced to have them or interact with them when you may not want to, but they are very good for you.
Yes. And I think especially in light of the fact that now we've moved to this remote work from home, some sort of hybrid, I think people are realizing now that they miss their veggies.
Yes.
They miss their vegetables. They're like, oh, you know what? I do like Brussels sprouts.
Are there any white collar jobs now that are 5 days in the office like pre-pandemic?
Yeah, a lot of big law firms are actually there's been a huge pushback, and like there's a lot of firms now that are going, we're 5 days. That's what we do.
We're just back to normal.
Yep.
Back to normal. Interesting. So yes, you want to eat your veggies. Find that your one work friend. You know, we had Smiley. How do you say his last name? Pazwalski, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, Smiley Pazwalski, and he talks about, you know, people with work friends are better employees. They're happier. You know, you're just generally like, it's good to have a work best friend.
Yes. Yes. I as I said, that was the part of working in office that I loved. Just being
Right.
able to have somebody to go to lunch with every day if I wanted. There was always somebody around to like get lunch with, or, you know, have a drink with after work. It was the 8 hours in between that I wasn't so keen on.
You know, that just reminded me when I worked in Morgan Stanley on Fridays, the analysts would all get to go out to lunch. We would go to Blimpies.
Right. But even that's so romantic. I love that.
Yeah. And
But would Blimpies still exist?
that's a great question. I don't know. And we had a little like listserv or group thing. Oh yeah, it does exist.
Because Blimpies is what I would call third tier fast food.
Oh no, Blimpies is like when things have, you know, you haven't.
It's funny that you chose Blimpies as the Friday spot.
I don't know. I think because it was near the office, it's actually really good. Like it's
Was
dirty.
Blimpies basically the Subway of its day?
Well, I think Subway was the Subway of its day, but you mean
Blimpies
like,
was before Subway, no?
oh, I don't know. But also, you would never call a company Blimpies now.
No.
Yeah, started in '64. So, and we called our group Meats and Cheeses. I don't even know. I mean, I guess because that's what we were eating. But let's talk a little bit before we get to a question about the top of the pyramid, alone time, which we have not talked about a lot. You know, as a single person, I have a lot of alone time. I like my alone time. But it is easy to get. I think people don't have the right balance. Either they have no alone time or they have too much alone time.
Yes. I think really if there was one thing that really resonated with me, it was like, it's not about the actual alone time. It's getting the balance right. It's about getting this balance right.
I hear a lot from parents. They're like, you have no alone time anymore. There's always,
Right. It was like the Leslie Mann in what was it? I Love You Man? No, in
Knocked Up.
Is it Knocked Up where she's like, I like Spider-Man?
Right.
When he snuck out the movies
that
alone.
wasn't really alone time. He was cheating on her with his dude friends.
No, but it was this, you know, just the idea of getting out.
Yes. But just like, you know, I mean, Brenner's not running around, sprinting around. Like you can still go to the bathroom at this moment, you know, without being fully invaded. But one day you won't be able to soon. Yeah. So I think parents just need that alone time just to like have a second to gather their thoughts.
Yes.
But I think everybody should have a little bit of alone time, because I always say you don't really know what you want in this world unless you know yourself.
Agreed. But I want to say this about the alone time, which I think is funny, is that we have too much alone time right now, most people, but it's not the right kind of alone time. It's not the conscious set aside time for yourself alone time. We're just like working alone or whatever, or like watching TV alone, or just like kind of doing things while we're alone. Whereas what we're talking about is like, give yourself 5 minutes, just a healthy check-in with yourself.
Yeah. Meditation, a run.
Can we take a listener question?
Let's do it. We'll be right back. All right, guys, this is Asking for a Friend. If you have a friendship question or ethical dilemma, send it to us on Instagram at Man of the Year Podcast, and we will answer it on the show. Matt, what do we have?
Hey, Matt and Cairo, big fan of the podcast. I hope this doesn't make me sound like an a-hole. I've been trying your tips, and I found a great third place. It's my coffee shop. The one little problem is I made the mistake of buying a coffee for somebody, and now I can't get rid of them. And every time I go in, there are other people that I would prefer to interact with, people that I actually could see myself forming friendships with. Unfortunately, this person now has sort of committed to me and feels like I am committed to them as their kind of morning coffee person because our coffees happen to be around the same time. Help. I don't want to be rude to this person, but I also don't want to have to now start going to another coffee shop.
You know what this reminds me of? You know how I don't know if this is a new thing or whatever, but like kids don't have friends or kids are playing alone and you encourage your kids to involve them. I saw on TikTok there's like a buddy bench at this school. Have you heard of this? So if you don't have anyone to play with, you sit there and then someone comes and plays with
Oh, I
you.
love that. They're doing that in the parks now in Japan or England, somewhere else. They're doing that.
Yeah, but I
It's
do
friendship
think
benches. Somebody just told me about the friendship benches.
yeah, but I do wonder, okay, I think that's a really incredible thing to play with someone who has no one to play with. But does that mean you're bound to them forever?
So this, you're talking about the kids or this question?
Well, I'm just saying they're similar vibes, right?
Yeah, no, it's a good question because I do think this happens a lot to people where like they feel like they've made a choice to commit to whether it's a friend or acquaintance or whatever. But if you're at a third place where it's kind of like repetitive interactions and like, how do you navigate that if you're like, oh, I just actually want to talk to this person and not you?
Well, first of all, I would say this doesn't apply to the kids, but to the person in the coffee shop who had the coffee purchased for them. Let's all try to practice a little bit of self-awareness.
Yep.
You know, like does this person was it just a one-time gesture? You don't have to like, I don't know, you save a seat for the guy every time, but then that is a nice thing. We tell people to be the friend.
Right.
You know,
Right. But if this
it's
person
about being
realizes this isn't the person for them,
yeah.
I mean, it's a tricky one. I think there's my first answer would be like this is something where like you have to just decide like all right, if this person's not somebody you really want to spend time with, like maybe you're just not being clear on that clearly, you know? Like you're basically leading them on.
This is a really tough one. Feels like something that would happen to me. I think I would either you can't say anything.
No.
You have to show up earlier and sit with the other people.
Mhm.
You have to show up later. I mean, I don't know. Like it is tough. Like you, unless you're going to be a dick, which we don't want people to be.
Yeah, we don't want people being rude. But again, we want you to make active, conscious choices for your own friendship. So if you decided there are other people there that you have chosen, you know, hey, I want to be friends with the person. I think also if you really are, if we're looking at it like, hey, I want to make friends, what you're really looking to use the coffee shop is as a way to take that friendship out of the coffee shop with one of those other people anyway. The coffee shop's really meant to be partially a good third place, but also a potential opportunity to take it out of the coffee shop with some of those people.
By the way, I would also say to the questioner, buying somebody a coffee, I mean, that's leading the witness a little bit. I mean, that's not
Right.
a normal thing.
No, I buy coffee for people like that are, you know, that I see at my coffee shop in my neighborhood. Sometimes if you both get in line at the same time, you kind of just like, let me get
I
you
mean,
coffee.
that's,
People do that for me too.
yeah, but do they know your order or they just say, hey, what do you want? I'll get it for you.
They say, what do you want? Yeah. It's pretty
Yeah.
common. That happens. I don't think that commits you to anything. I also think
Right.
like maybe you're not giving this other person enough credit. That's the other part.
Then maybe you will learn to like them.
No, the other thing, I think like you're not giving them enough credit for being like they can get the signal. If you just say, "Hey, I'm just chatting with this, you know, person about something." Like if you just say one thing one time, you probably solve it.
Ooh, how deep is the question? Does it say how long this has been going on for?
No,
Like you've been sitting with someone at the coffee shop. I think
you know what this
you're
reminds me of?
school
Great.
lunch.
Do you love that movie
What
or hate
movie?
it? With Colin Farrell and Brendan, what's his name?
What was the movie again?
The Irish movie where they were best friends, and then the guy just like,
Oh, you've brought
seems,
this up many times, and I haven't seen it yet. Do I need to see
oh
it?
my God, it's so good.
Okay, I'm gonna add it to my list right now.
Banshees of Inisherin. I mean, he literally, the other guy, he just like stopped sitting with him at a bar.
Yeah,
They go
I
to the
mean,
same bar. They go to the same pub every single day. They're best friends, and then suddenly he just goes to another seat, and then he comes over and he goes, "I don't want to be friends with you anymore."
and
And then it goes
don't
off the rails.
yeah, I want to don't spoil the rest of the movie, but I mean, that's it's pretty fucked up. I mean, like,
Yeah. By the way, this happens to kids a lot. I feel like I've heard this from
oh yeah,
siblings and their kids. Of like kids just decide they don't want to be friends with you anymore. A new year starts. They go, "I want to make a new friend." Whatever. These are things you got to deal with in life, right? So you got to be able to deal with a guy at your coffee shop or a girl at your coffee shop that you don't want to have daily coffee with. You know, you could
oof.
also just be like, "Yeah, it's great to see you," and like, if they come over and you're like, you could just be like, "Hey, great to see you. I'm gonna go sit with Steve."
Oof, this is giving me anxiety even thinking about this. Uh, ooh, because you've already established. I mean, that's tough.
Right.
That's tough because the person's. I mean, again, we have no concept of who the other person is, but like they're probably. I mean, who maybe the other person's like, oh, I can't wait to get rid of this person.
Right. That's what I'm saying. We don't even know what the other person is probably like the same exact thing. Like, oh man, I bought this person a coffee one time and now I can't get rid of them.
Right, but we don't know. I mean, we just don't.
Yeah.
We just don't know. This is. I'm really torn on this one.
I thought you'd appreciate this one. This is a toughie.
I mean, I've definitely had, and not recently, but
I mean,
not never.
you just moved? Did you just have moved to another neighborhood?
Yeah, I think you have
Yeah,
to. I mean, my one thought is, do you involve the other people who you do want to talk to?
yeah.
So, like, first of all, also, can you both join this other group, and then you could diffuse him a little bit,
Right. Right.
and
Interesting.
maybe he'll hit it off with one of the new people.
I told you there's a huge coffee clutch in my neighborhood at the Pete's Coffee. And I always wondered how they add members or subtract members because it's like a 9-person group.
What's
And
your coffee shop?
I wonder if they all just kind of like accepted that people were like joining in and like, do they all get along? Like that's a big clutch.
Which coffee place are you?
Groundworks.
And then I heard you also have a farmer's market clutch.
Yes. That's just Sundays.
Yeah. I mean, listen, those things can get. Now we haven't really talked about clicks, and maybe we'll do a whole episode
Yeah,
about
my
clicks.
neighborhood feels like I'm like now I know everybody, and then like when I sit down, I'm like, am I excluding somebody? The entire coffee shop is like my crew now.
Yeah, I mean, it is that I feel like my word of the day is fraught, but I mean, clicks are
You
clicks
never
are tough.
outgrow them, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think click has this pejorative term, but if you have some buddies and you enjoy spending time with them, like you're not obligated to allow
Right.
another person in. I
I
mean,
mean,
listen,
yeah, I
yeah,
think this thing. I know. I do think like you see these giant crews. I think those are the places for people that just want to like you know be part of that thing at the coffee shop. Sounds like the other guy. You should introduce that other guy to the Pete's Coffee.
well, that's the thing. Okay, let's take it back to kids. I think it is really important that, and I've seen a bunch of TikToks, like someone's eating alone at lunch,
Yep.
you invite them. Someone doesn't have one to play with, you play
Right.
with them. And
Does
and
that
I think,
obligate you there forever to be that friend?
but let's also just say, a lot of times you probably be pleasantly surprised that this person you maybe thought was weird or a loner is nice
Totally.
guy, nice
I agree.
girl, whatever. But you're right. I don't know. Like, does that obligate? I like to hear from our listeners. Like, then what?
I
What
mean, look,
happens on
this
a date?
isn't that big of a deal, right? It's
Is
not
it?
that in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. Because either way, you can either just let them, kind of join you in the mornings, right? But that's a passive way to go through your life. It's bothering you enough that you wrote in. I don't think you should do that. I think you should solve this, and I think it doesn't require you saying, hey, we're not friends. You don't have to go that harshly. And I think what you do is occasionally, I think you kind of slowly extract. You lessen
How?
the amount of the interactions.
I mean, we walk into a coffee shop, the person's there. There's only so much you could do. Either you sit with them or you don't.
Right. So I think you can start not sitting with them some days and like
Mhm.
slowly play it, or be like, I'm going outside, or I got to take a call the first couple of times just to kind of make it that this isn't what we do. Right. Like breaking up you're basically like breaking up with a very casual friend, but you're going to see them. So you don't want it to be awkward.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a tough one. I still think you involve the other people. Also,
Right.
do the other people know this? We don't know. The other people know
We
this
don't
guy.
know. We don't know if the other people are there every single day too. And now you're like, I literally just want to switch seats at the same
Right.
coffee shop. Poof, toughie.
I think
Very
first day or the first move you make is you have to go you have to go early. You have to change up the time at least
okay.
one or
Change
two
it up
to
a little.
collect.
Change up your time a little. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I think, but I look. I think most adults don't think that you're obligated to sit with them at coffee any single day. People are busy. You can just be like, yeah, I'm really busy today. I'm just gonna hit it and go. Just as I'm saying, I think you're right. Changing the pattern is key.
This is why I don't drink coffee.
Too much fraught social interactions.
I mean, I'm literally like my heart is beating fast thinking
Yeah,
about like,
this is like really stressful for me. I could see this happening to me.
can we do a whole episode on clicks? Because like there were clicks in the gym when I was doing
Let's
CrossFit.
do a
Like,
clicks episode. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I think what we're saying is the best answer is change the pattern maybe a little bit. If you're not going to straight up be like, listen, I don't have time to sit with you every day because that's a little harsh. I
Right.
think you just change up the pattern a little
Oh,
bit.
wait a minute. Oh no, I thought I maybe had a genius idea. What if
Right.
you buy a coffee for somebody else?
Yes. Oh, great. That's changing up the pattern. Right. Great. You buy a coffee for somebody else. So you're like, I got to go sit with them,
Yeah, yeah. Or you buy coffee for everybody in the place except for this guy.
I'll take 9 coffees. Oh, sorry, 8 coffees.
Oh man. Do
Yeah,
we
be
answer
kind.
this?
Look, be kind. I think
Yes.
if you're going to a third place, it's a lot of people that are going there because they want, and they go there consistently. They want to be friendly. It's all casual. Like this isn't like a lot of BFFs anyway. So just keep it positive, keep it casual. As I said, you can still do it with that person and do it with other people and just kind of mix it up a little. And then they'll know that, okay, this isn't my daily coffee companion.
Yeah. And let us know what happens. And if you are the person who's being shunted out, and you got this, let us know too. All right. That was asking for a friend. If you want your question answered in the show, send it to us on Instagram at Man of the Year Podcast. Matthew, what did we learn today?
Well, that question has me shook.
Shooketh.
Shook if. Yeah. I mean, I think you got to commit arson to that coffee shop, burn it to the ground. No, we learned. No, what we learned is balance is a big key that we haven't talked about a lot. And if we look at our friendship circle, like the old food pyramid, our dude pyramid, it's kind of a good shorthand for going, which part of that diet am I short on, right? Because a lot of us, when we look at our diets, we go, oh, what am I not getting enough of? And we really know what it is once you identify it.
Yeah. A balanced social diet includes strong relationships, more casual relationships, and a healthy dose of some alone time.
I think that we nailed it.
And then you grow up big and strong. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to your friends. Hey, Matt, love you,
Love you, buddy.